Some wounds are visible, a bruise, a cut, a broken bone. But others, the deepest ones, are etched not by impact, but by absence. He hit me once. You might whisper, the memory of phantom ache. But the silence after hurt more. It's the silence that screams, the void that swallows, the unspoken truths that fester. The physical pain fades, but the emotional scar, carved by the chilling void of unaddressed trauma, of unspoken apologies, of shattered trust, lingers. It's the silence of a phone that never rings, a conversation that never happens, a reconciliation that never comes. It's the deafening quiet that follows the storm, leaving behind a landscape of desolation. How do we heal from a wound that isn't a mark, but an emptiness? How do we find peace when the loudest sound is the one that isn't there? The immediate aftermath of violence, whether physical or emotional, is often marked by shock, fear, and confusion. But as the initial chaos subsides, a different kind of suffering can emerge, the suffering of silence. This isn't merely the absence of sound. It's the absence of acknowledgement, of validation, of resolution. It's the unspoken pain that becomes a heavy burden, a silent tormentor. From a Buddhist perspective, this suffering stems from our clinging to what was, our aversion to what is, and our ignorance of the true nature of reality. We cling to the idea of a relationship that was, to the hope of an apology, to the expectation of justice. When these expectations are unmet, the silence amplifies our pain, trapping us in a cycle of resentment and despair. The challenge lies in recognizing these unseen chains and finding a path to liberation, not by forcing external change, but by transforming our internal landscape. In Buddhist teachings, suffering, dukkha, is not merely physical pain, but also the pervasive unease, dissatisfaction, and dis-ease that arises from our attachment to impermanent phenomena. The silence after violence, particularly when it signifies a lack of resolution or acknowledgement, becomes a potent source of dukkha. It feeds our clinging to the past, our aversion to the present, and our ignorance of the path to liberation. Clinging to the past, upadana, we replay the event, the words, the actions, and the subsequent silence. We cling to the memory of the hurt, to the narrative of injustice, to the expectation of an apology that never comes. This clinging keeps the wound fresh, preventing it from healing. It's like holding onto a hot coal, expecting the other person to get burned. Aversion to the present, dosa, the silence itself, becomes an object of aversion. We resist it, we fight against it, we wish it were different. This resistance creates more suffering. We are not accepting the reality of the situation, however painful it may be. Ignorance. Avijja, we are ignorant of the true nature of suffering and the path to its cessation. We believe that healing can only come from external sources, an apology, a conversation, a change in the other person. We fail to recognize that true healing begins within, through understanding and transforming our own minds. While the silence after violence can feel like an insurmountable barrier, Buddhist principles offer a profound and practical path to healing, even when external reconciliation is not possible. It's about shifting our focus from seeking external validation to cultivating internal peace and liberation. The path is not about forgetting or condoning, but about transforming our relationship with the pain itself. 1. Right understanding. Samadhithi, acknowledging the truth of suffering. Right understanding begins with acknowledging the truth of suffering, not just the physical pain, but the deeper emotional and psychological anguish caused by the silence. It's about seeing clearly that clinging to the past, to resentment, or to the expectation of an apology only perpetuates our own suffering. It's also about understanding the impermanence of all phenomena, including pain and relationships. This understanding helps us to release the illusion that the past can be changed or that our healing is dependent on the other person's actions. For example, Recognizing that the silence is a manifestation of the other person's own suffering or inability to confront their actions, rather than a personal attack, can shift your perspective from anger to a more detached understanding. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you detach from the emotional entanglement. 2. Right thought. Samma Sankappa, cultivating compassion for self and other. Right thought involves cultivating intentions of loving kindness, metta, and compassion, karuna, not just for others, but crucially, for ourselves. When we are hurt, our natural inclination is often self-blame or anger towards the perpetrator. Right thought encourages us to extend compassion to our own suffering, acknowledging the pain without judgment. It also means cultivating compassion for the person who caused the harm, recognizing that their actions may stem from their own ignorance, fear, or conditioning. This doesn't mean condoning their actions, but understanding that they too are caught in a cycle of suffering. For instance, instead of dwelling on vengeful thoughts, you can consciously choose to send thoughts like, "May I be free from suffering. May I be at peace. May the other person also find peace, even if they cannot acknowledge their actions." This practice, though challenging, gradually softens the heart and frees us from the corrosive effects of resentment. 3. Right speech. Samma Vaka, the power of internal dialogue. While external communication might be impossible or unsafe, right speech extends to our internal dialogue. How do you speak to yourself about the trauma and the silence? Are you constantly replaying the hurtful words or blaming yourself? Right speech encourages us to be mindful of these internal narratives. If you find yourself engaging in harsh self-talk or reliving the trauma, gently redirect your thoughts. Practice speaking kindly to yourself, acknowledging your pain and validating your experience. If you choose to share your story with trusted individuals, do so with mindfulness, focusing on healing and understanding, rather than perpetuating anger or victimhood. The goal is to purify your own mental landscape, creating a space for healing and self-compassion. 4. Right action. Samma Kamanta, setting boundaries and prioritizing well-being. Right action means engaging in conduct that is wholesome and non-harming, both to ourselves and others. In the context of violence and silence, this often means setting clear boundaries to protect your physical and emotional well-being. This might involve maintaining no contact, seeking professional help, or removing yourself from environments that trigger the pain. It's not about punishing the other person, but about prioritizing your own healing and safety. Right action also involves actively engaging in activities that promote your well-being, such as exercise, spending time in nature, or pursuing hobbies that bring you joy. These actions reinforce your self-worth and create a foundation for healing. 5. Right livelihood. Samma Ajiva, finding purpose beyond the pain. While primarily referring to one's profession, right livelihood can be extended to how we sustain our emotional and spiritual lives. If the trauma and silence are consuming your energy, it's vital to find purpose and meaning beyond the pain. Are you engaging in activities that align with your values? Are you contributing to something larger than yourself? This might involve volunteering, pursuing a creative passion, or dedicating yourself to a cause that brings you a sense of fulfillment. By focusing on what you can offer to the world, you shift your attention away from the past and towards a more meaningful present and future. This doesn't erase the pain, but it provides a context for it, allowing you to integrate it into a larger, more purposeful life. 6. Right effort. Samma Vyama, the diligent cultivation of wholesome states. Right effort is the diligent application of energy to cultivate wholesome states and abandon unwholesome ones. When dealing with the lingering pain of silence, this means actively working to prevent resentment, anger, or despair from taking root. It's not about suppressing these emotions, but about skillfully redirecting your mental energy. For example, if you find yourself dwelling on the injustice, right effort means gently bringing your attention back to the present moment, or focusing on practices that cultivate peace and compassion. It's a continuous, gentle persistence in nurturing your inner well-being, even when the external situation remains unchanged. This effort, over time, weakens the grip of the past and strengthens your capacity for resilience and inner freedom. 7. Right Mindfulness. Sammasati, being present with the pain without identification. Right mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and aware of your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment or identification. When the pain of the silence arises, our tendency is to either push it away or get completely consumed by it. Right mindfulness teaches us to simply observe the pain as it is. Notice the tightness in your chest, the sadness in your heart, the thoughts of anger or regret. Acknowledge them, allow them to be there, but don't identify with them as your identity. This is like watching a river flow. You observe the water, but you are not the water. By doing so, you create a space between yourself and the pain, allowing it to lose its power to overwhelm you. This practice gradually loosens the grip of the past, as you stop feeding it with resistance or identification. It's the gentle, yet powerful, act of shining the light of awareness on the pain, allowing it to transform. 8. Right Concentration. Samma Samadhi, finding inner stillness. Right concentration is the development of a focused and tranquil mind through meditation. When our minds are agitated by unresolved conflicts and emotional pain, it's difficult to find clarity or peace. Right concentration provides the stability needed to truly apply the other aspects of the path. Through practices like mindfulness of breathing, you train your mind to stay in the present moment, to observe without attachment. As your concentration deepens, you experience profound states of inner peace and stillness, which naturally dissolve the agitation caused by the lingering silence. This is the ultimate tool for finding freedom, as it allows you to directly experience the unconditioned nature of your mind, free from the suffering caused by clinging. It's the deep, nourishing rain that washes away the dust and allows the true self to emerge, unburdened by the past. The silence after violence can feel like an eternal prison, a wound that will never heal. But from a Buddhist perspective, it is often a reflection of our own internal landscapes, our clinging, our fears, our misunderstandings. The physical act of violence may have passed, but the emotional pain lingers when we allow the silence to define us. The Noble Eightfold Path offers a profound and practical way to navigate this pain, not by forcing external reconciliation, but by cultivating inner peace, wisdom, and compassion. It teaches us that true healing begins within, allowing us to release the burden of the past, even if the external silence remains. It's a journey from the ache of unspoken absence to the quiet strength of inner freedom, a freedom that allows us to be at peace, regardless of whether the silence ever breaks. If you are carrying the weight of a silence that hurts more than any blow, which aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path will you choose to cultivate today to begin your journey towards inner peace and liberation? If this exploration has resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the Noble Wisdom Path. Share this video with someone who might be struggling with a similar silent burden, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Together, let's walk the path towards true freedom and peace.